I think I'm just like in a place where I am too tired to deal with people.
Yeah.
And it is too much to explain, and I don't want to be questioned.
One of the biggest things I've learned over time about like, okay, how can I feel good going into like a big scary situation or something new is like the preparedness factor.
I always try and ask my questions of like, what is helpful and what is true.
Hi. Hello.
And welcome to EpiPod. Sarah is a mom to 2 little boys with food allergies.
And Danielle has navigated life-threatening allergies her entire life.
Living with an invisible health condition is so isolating.
The fear and the anxiety.
Trying to cover it up so you don't affect anybody else.
Especially your kids. Sound familiar?
Join us on the couch and take a load off with people who just get it.
We're so glad you're here.
Welcome to EpiPod.
Presented by Lorissa's Kitchen.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Danielle.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I feel a little bit overwhelmed, but also like, again, broken record. But I feel like I'm always overwhelmed. It's just a season.
I don't think you've ever sat here or on our actual couches and been like, I'm so rested. I don't know what to do with all this time that I have.
I haven't been rested in 6 years.
So I was going to say since like 2014.
Yeah, since Graham was born. That is for sure. But I mean, story of every mom's life. And then, of course, with like treatment and all those allergy things, it just amplifies that.
Hosting a podcast now too. You like started all this on the side.
I know.
Like,
What's
I'm
wrong
tired.
with me?
What should I do? Start a business with my allergy bestie.
Yes, but we have a big kind of allergy treatment related thing coming up tonight. We have a big up dose. So I think this is the perfect episode to talk about that because we're going to be talking about kind of like how we manage our stress and get through really big, scary moments.
Yeah.
And you actually had one of those this morning.
Yeah, 4 hours ago.
So tell me what happened.
Okay. I just said before we turn the mics on, like, I feel like I've lived 4 lives today. It's like not even 1 p.m. Today has been a day that I have been dreaming of and wondering if I was even going to make it to. Not that sounds so dark. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to stay in OIT for this long, especially with this past spring and all the anxiety challenges that came with it. But I was always thinking like, when will I make it to 1 peanut? Like, will I ever make it to 1 peanut when a teeny tiny bit of sauce that was made with peanuts has sent me to the hospital before? Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And today I updosed to 1 peanut.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 peanut, and again, to somebody who doesn't understand,
they're like, it's just a little peanut.
Right. And you're right. It is a little peanut, but it is such a massive thing, especially when, like you said, such a small kind of micro fragment of a peanut or like a tiny lick of a sauce was enough to cause a major health issue.
Yeah. I'm still doing Bombas, which is like it's like a Cheeto puff, except with peanut butter instead of artificial cheese. And my doctor said that I could move to peanut butter or a peanut. And I was like, wait a minute. So today I ate a little bit over what is in the amount of protein wise in a peanut. And I was like, so if I did it with a peanut, he was like, it should be the same. I'm like, but it's not a peanut, it's a Bomba. And he's like, he's so patient and kind. God bless Dr. Silvers at Aspire Allergy. But I just like can't, it's really triggering when you're eating anything and you crunch down on, you just know, it's just like, oh no. And then your whole mouth on fire and then your throat, it's just like all hell's breaks loose. So I don't know when I'm going to switch over to a peanut or to peanut butter. I can't imagine it. But I also couldn't imagine this. So truly, this is one of the biggest days of my life, I feel like. And it's something that I've worked so hard for a year and a half. And yeah, I couldn't be prouder of myself.
I'm so proud of you. And the fact that not only did you do it, but you did it in such a new way compared to where you were months ago. I mean, it totally would have been fine if you went into it completely scared shitless and like panicking at every moment. Like that is actually very reasonable if you were to have been that way.
I was so scared today.
But like the way that you, I mean, just like conquered it. You were able to not have these like deep panic moments in the office.
Yes.
I mean, that is a huge change from where you were just a few months ago. And now you've eaten the same amount as an entire peanut.
I know.
I mean, so I know you've gone back and forth, like, should I do this? Should I not? But you've kept it up. Mm-hmm. I've reached a major milestone.
Surprisingly, I've been able to keep it up.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have never been tried the way that I have since January, since I started having panic attacks. And I'd never even had like a proper panic attack, much less during a time when it's really dangerous to let your heart rate go crazy like that. Today I felt really ready for it. Like all week I was like, had like an internal battle cry. Like I was ready for it. But this morning when I woke up, like it's weird when I don't want to listen to music or dance around the kitchen or listen to podcasts or talk to somebody on my drive over. And I was really anxious. Like I usually also vlog my time at Aspire Allergy because, I've gotten so much feedback of people being like, thank you. Like seeing what an appointment is like on a good day, on a bad day, what a food challenge looks like walking me through this made me feel so much better going in, even if their office maybe does something slightly different, like just watching somebody do something you're terrified of while they are terrified doing it. It's not like I'm this like superhuman who's like, this is amazing. No problemo. Like I've cried through episodes. I've cried through appointments. And I show it all, but I was in a place today where I literally set up the camera and before I could pick up the bomb, but my hands were shaking so much, I went over and I took off the camera. And I really haven't recorded myself doing any of my allergy treatment or much prep or anything because I need 100% of my brain cells, every single whit about me just to get through it. And that's how I felt this morning. But I was nervous, but it wasn't a panic attack. It wasn't like the time where you flew across the city to me. It's not like your stomach bottoms out, impending doom. Like I have no control over my heart, over my brain, over my nervous system. It was just like normal anxiety. We've talked about it a lot of times, but I have no eye-hand coordination. Like I'm not a sporty girl, not sporty spice, I'm baby spice. But I was a horseback rider growing up. That was my sport. And I just knew, I was talking to my dad on the way back from the allergist and he was like beaming. I could just tell through the phone. And he was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm going to cry. I'm so proud of you because you got back on the horse. And I was like, I don't know if I always used to say like, I don't know how long I want to keep riding. Like it was a really intense to be like mega child athlete, like wake up at 5 a.m., train, then go to high school, like traveling all around the country for shows. Like it was intense. And I always used to be like, I don't know if I want to keep riding anymore. And that's what I said today. I was like, I don't know how long I want to keep riding. I don't know if I want to ride lifelong. I don't know if I want to get off the horse next time. But I knew I got bucked off hard in January. And I knew I was not like, that was not going to be my story. Like I had to get back up on the horse. So even if I decide tomorrow, like I don't want to do this anymore, I really feel like I conquered something that has been weighing me down for the better part of 2024. I mean, all of it. Yeah.
I'm so, so happy for you.
Thanks.
And proud of you. That takes so much strength and courage, and sharing about it takes even more of those things. So I really, really think that you're helping people, and I'm just really proud to be your friend. You're so
Thanks.
strong.
Thank you. My allergist shared with me the Palforzia or whatever, the OIT.
Oh, is it
It's like a packet of, I don't know. It's what some OIT practices use instead of like a peanut product. What I did today is the highest dose you can go in, the Palforzia or whatever.
Okay.
So I'm at 1 peanut.
Wow.
And his goal for me is 3 to 4 peanuts.
Okay.
He said, quote unquote, that will have you sitting really pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, sitting pretty, that's your chance, right? I mean, that you've said on the podcast before, like, I just want a chance at safety. And I mean, 3 or 4 peanuts sitting pretty, like that is that. That is that.
Yeah. It would be really hard to accidentally eat 3 or 4 peanuts.
Right.
I'm going to ask him the next time I see him, like what I wasn't even clear enough. I was just like, just keep yourself together. Like you cannot have a panic attack. I want to ask him, like, what does this mean? Like, I know it's a big milestone to make it to 1, but I want to know, like, okay, does this mean I can eat? I used to eat Milky Ways all the time when I was little. It was my favorite candy bar, but they say may contain peanuts because they're the same. It's Mars. I like Snickers, all of those.
Yeah.
Can I have a Milky Way? Like, I don't know yet. I'm not in a state even to want to know yet. I'm just like, I just made it here. I'm just happy to be here.
You just have to take a breath, and then you can come back for questions later. Yeah. I think in our program, once Graham got to a peanut, we were cleared for cross contact with peanut. So meaning, like even if like the scoop wasn't properly cleaned of the ice cream shop, from the peanut flavor to his flavor that he can have, like that would be fine. Or if somebody was handling peanuts and then handled your food, that's fine. So, I mean,
I can't imagine like what it's like to not deal with the imaginary.
But that could be, I mean, if your doctor says that, it's going to take some time for you to like get there mentally to like fully trust and make those small choices to start trying new things or go to more restaurants or whatever it may be. But like, also as your friend, I'm going to like very gently and lovingly push you because I think you work so hard to get to the milestone. You need to like take advantage of what the milestone is.
I think so too. Yeah. I'm not just dealing with peanuts. It's walnut. I'm anaphylactic to walnut, pecan, cashew, and pistachio.
Right.
So, maybe that like if something just has like a may contain and my doctor has said, okay, I would love shove me off the diving board, Sarah, please.
Yes, I will. But I'll do it very nicely, very gently. But I will do it.
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy for you. Thank you
you
for sharing with us and with me. And I was so excited when I got that text that you're like, okay, I did it. Like it's in my belly.
I know.
I was like, yay, you got this. It's so fun to be a part of your journey.
Thanks.
Because obviously like we're on one too. And like I said, we have we both have huge peanut days today.
Yeah.
So you actually ate it already, like the amount of a full peanut, and Graham will updose today to 2 peanuts and like actual peanuts.
Yeah.
So he's been doing a peanut and a half for the last 2 weeks.
Can I ask what a peanut even is? I know that sounds like a dumb question, but like, is it like
the full like hard shell, what's inside the shell?
I've never opened a peanut, so I don't even know what's in there, but like, like in the planters things, like
it's like the round.
The whole round.
So the whole round.
So it's like a roly-poly, like a roll off the table.
Yes.
That's a peanut?
Yes.
Holy cow.
So
oh my gosh.
So I think that like, that was confusing to me actually too, because I think of a peanut as like, you crack the shell of a peanut, like you see a picture of a peanut and it's like the shell that has the 2 like bulbous ends, you know what I mean?
Little planters, man.
Yeah. And so I always thought like that's a peanut, but I feel like in allergy world, when they're talking about a peanut, they're talking about either one of those ends.
Yes.
So like the circle bit on either side. And so he's going to basically, like crack a peanut shell and have both inside of there tonight.
Well, just thinking about like the things that he can do, like I remember when you guys went to an LSU football game and there was that person eating peanuts not far from you all, like cracking the shells and all the stuff flittering around.
Yes.
Like, this is huge for him.
I know. Yeah. And I mean, obviously in that setting, we would never, even if we right now like could have a full peanut, like or 2 peanuts, I wouldn't be like, here, have a peanut. No. We're so far from that. But I mean, in a controlled setting at home and like, we're eating it, and then out in the world, if we're around it, like we don't have to be as fearful. And that is kind of mind blowing. I'm feeling nervous, but not as nervous as I was when we went to 1 peanut. And I don't know why, because at a peanut and a half, we have had a few little minor hiccups. Nothing horrible. Like we haven't even really had to use medication, but a little spot here, a little itchy throat here, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. He seems healthy. So that's, you know, like if he's not coughing or having other issues, I feel like that's like we're already in a good immune system vibe.
And you also have all of the things that the last time.
Right. Like either I was out of town, Mark was out of town, like somebody was gone.
Both parents are there.
Yep.
He's healthy. Your gut is saying thumbs up.
Right.
Like your intuition last time was firing on all cylinders all day.
Yes. And this time I'm feeling pretty good about it. So
we literally like, I feel like we present as these like sweet, kind, put together, polite. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I knock your grocery cart? Go ahead, women. And in reality, like we're like these like undercover ninja secret Joan of Arcs. Like it's giving Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Like there is not a lot. I don't know. Do you relate to this with OIT? Like there is not a lot that can shake me these days because I have always been a really confident, self-assured person, but going to hell and back like that every single day and on a big day today, there is nothing that some dingus boy could say to me. Like, if you don't like me, I'm like, okay. Yeah. Like, what? Like, if somebody is mean to me, I'm just like, what? Like, things that used to matter or really shake me up, now I'm like, you're lost.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way too, especially with things that in work, I feel like
say with you, it's more like work meets dating.
Right. Like I mean, I still am a recovering perfectionist. So like if I miss something, behind on something, like, or, you know, if it's my fault at all, I still am going to feel like bad about it or like worried about it. But also, I don't know, you're right. I mean, things just don't matter as much. I think in general, when you have a family too, I mean, definitely the allergy thing like amplifies it, but just even like the moment I had kids, it was like nothing else matters. Like
nothing else. Yeah.
Like if it's my family, like that's what's important. And otherwise, like obviously I care about things and people, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, nothing compares to them.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's like any big thing in your life that like narrows your focus it has that effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your perspective is on like superhero level.
Yes.
Now would be a good time to tell you a little bit more about our presenting sponsor, Lorissa's Kitchen. Lorissa started Lorissa's Kitchen in 2016 with a simple mission to bring better, healthier options to the meat snacks category.
However, after the birth of her third child and several challenging years helping him work through a laundry list of food allergies, she knew it was time to take that mission to the next level. Provide those same high-quality, healthier options, but now ensure that they are certified free from the top 9 allergens. And that is exactly what they did. I think that this is just a testament to allergy moms. Like they will do anything to protect their family, their kids, and make sure that they're not only like safe, but they're happy and included. And I love this.
I'm obsessed. Super allergy mom. They are so proud to announce the first ever and only Menu Trinfo certified free from the top 9 allergen meat snack on the market. Check out LK on Amazon or their website, lorissaskitchen.com. That's LORISSAS kitchen.com. Oh my gosh. And did you hear that they're in Sprouts now?
I did. I love Sprouts. They always have the most allergy friendly options and finds. And so now I can just add Lorissa's Kitchen to my cart.
I'm obsessed with Sprouts. Find me in the produce section trying to cool off in the summer heat, but they're in Sprouts as of this summer, which is huge.
Yes, go check them out.
Okay.
And so kind of getting, and we've already talked a little bit about it, but getting into more like tactical things for how when you're going into those moments and you're basically like staring the beast in the eye, like you're like walking into that building about to do this huge, massive milestone type of thing. Like, how do you mentally prepare for that? And then also like get through that, because you've learned a lot over the past 6 months or so.
Totally. I feel like that's probably my most asked question is like when people reach out, especially food allergy adults, when they reach out and they're like, oh, I could never do this. Like, how do you make yourself do this? And when I'm like today, I was like standing over the dose and it took me a good like 4 or 5 minutes to like, I was just standing there holding it, like willing myself to put it in my mouth. And I had that thought where I was like, how are you doing this? Like where is this like will to keep going? And to like, that's a great way to put it, stare the beast in the face and do it anyways. I think like 2 buckets. One, like there are rituals and routines that I know are going to equal my success. I need to be really well rested. Like I need to have my wits about me. So like if I get any less than 7 hours of sleep, like I just know I'm not going to be able to handle my anxiety quite as well. I'm also going to be questioning myself. Like my judgment is just a little bit more shaky. So I would say, 1, I know I need to be getting good rest, and I'm terrible at that. You know that. Like I'll be texting you or sending out emails at like 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, I'm like, I burn the candle at both ends because I wake up not all like 8 o'clock at latest.
Yeah.
So I've gotten more diligent about like 7 hours minimum, and that's still not enough. Like that's what we'll settle for, but like we need to be getting 8 hours. Just like knowing in my head if it's updose related and like I'm at the allergist doing this, or like for food challenges, I am in the safest place possible. I am with the person who I have chosen to take all of my allergy advice from. Like I have shut down the internet, all the other noise, every other allergist, no matter what else. Like I only care about this one person's opinion. Like he is my North Star. Like if he says it's okay, it's okay. I don't care if my TikTok comments are like, mine, you're too old, too allergic to whatever. My doctor says yes, it's yes. My doctor says no, it's no. I've just sort of like decided to paraglide off of that cliff. So just knowing, and that's my mantra. Like you are there's no other like safer place for this to happen. He knows your full medical history. He knows how much you struggle with anxiety. They have all of their own systems in place if something goes awry. So just like knowing what is true and making my brain stay within that container, what is true versus like all of the other things that could go awry. When I'm at home, it's its own version. I'm not in the safest place that I could be. That's for sure. Like, I'm not going to lie to myself, but I know that I have systems in place. I know that I can contact my doctor. I know that I have up-to-date emergency meds that I have always taken good care of in the heat, in the cold, in the whatever. And I have people who I can text who are nearby who can come help me if I need to. It happened before. And then I think just like knowing, I think it's different for everybody, but like, what is almost like your emergency button in your head? I hated SpongeBob growing up. That was not my favorite cartoon, but there's a scene in SpongeBob where like he's inside his own brain with like all these filing cabinets, and there's like these buttons and levers, and like, what is your button inside of your brain? Mine is reading. Like I can shut down my anxiety, and I can shut down the like 3 gerbil wheels that are always going, like racing thoughts, if I am reading a book. So like I have my routine. I know what food is going to fill my belly without making me feel queasy. I had to really overcome that. Like prepping my stomach for the dose, you have to have a full meal. Mm-hmm. And I used to not eat until like noon, 1 p.m. I was a big intermittent faster. So yeah, just like getting the right recipe of like what foods can you eat that early in the morning that are going to be carby and starchy enough, but aren't going to make you feel queasy, because queasy is something you're looking out for.
Right. It would confuse you if you had your dose then and you're like, well, shoot, did I not eat enough breakfast or eat something weird, or is it the dose?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just like, I know this is what I eat every morning before the dose. Coffee. I love coffee. It makes me into a psychopath. Like you, in a good way usually, but with dosing, not good.
Yeah.
I just started making it a rule. Like you get to have your coffee after you dose. And that makes me dose earlier because I want that coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just like having all of the things, like my emergency button, my like, what is true, and
sleep.
All of the systems in place, like sleep, like the carbs, like the whatever. Yeah.
Do you use some of those things as well when it's, say, not an up dose, you're not going to the doctor's office, but you're going on a big trip that, again, you're going to be in like a different spot, possibly eating food that you didn't prepare. Like when you go into any kind of like big allergy moment, or say you're trying a new restaurant, like are you doing those same things?
Pulling out my Kindle on a date. No, I wish. Can you just give me 15 minutes? Yeah. I need to read a chapter or two. Thanks, Chad.
Yeah.
No, but I will say, like, I use those same tactics when just like my nervous system is out of whack. Like on the airplane, we talked the last couple episodes about like, I was more nervous on that flight after that run-in.
Right.
I used the same things that I do dosing to calm myself down, and it worked. Like I was fine. But I mean, I don't eat out a lot, and when I think about Cabo in July, I'm like, but like, I think what I lean on most for those things is history. I am 32 years old. I have the most trust in the world in myself. Like I know I can take care of myself. I know I'm good in a bad situation, my emergency or anybody else's emergency. Like I'm the best person to have in a bad situation. And I just like, I think part of it is also my faith. Like I am a Christian. I was raised a Christian. As an adult, I've chosen to still continue to be a Christian. And I just know like that brings me a lot of comfort, and there's a plan. And for some reason, allergies is a part of my plan, but it's also makes me, we were talking about perspective. It puts things in perspective for me too.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of other things going on. Like you're just kind of a blip on the radar.
Yeah. Well, that's very true.
So I think that really comforts me. In terms of like when I'm out eating, I think routine is like the most, or like out on a trip, or I walk into a boutique and they have mixed nuts on the table or something. Like I always try and ask my questions of like, what is helpful and what is true? Like, if you try on these clothes, are you going to be at risk of anaphylaxis? The answer is probably not. Could this person have touched these clothes? Like the sales associate eating them, putting the clothes away, whatever. That is something I may want to just be like, it's not worth it. I don't even like these clothes. Like I'm going to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like instead of going straight into like, like, you know, when a kitten gets scared, like, going straight into like, okay, like what is helpful? Like is running out of here helpful? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, and what is true? Like, is this dangerous? Like, no, but do I want to deal with this BS today? Okay, then it's fine to leave. Like, thanks so much. I'm good, actually. Yeah. So I think just like staying really grounded in that, because it's so easy to let the like anxiety roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
It takes you around like a lasso. You're just like at its mercy.
For sure.
And like the racing thoughts, and like you can say, what if, till you're blue in the face.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
do.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. Is that helpful? Do you do something similar?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, and this might be a personality thing, just like kind of who I am, but I will say one of the biggest things I've learned over time about like, okay, how can I feel good going into like a big scary situation or something new is like the preparedness factor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, this could apply to anything in life, but certainly allergies. Like if I have like an organized thought or plan, if I'm prepared to enter this situation, like I feel calmer. So like, not only am I prepared in case like worst case scenario happens, right? You have your Epis, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even talking about that so much as I'm talking about like you are prepared, like mentally, like you said, like you've had a good night's sleep, or you say, you're going to a new restaurant, you've checked the menu, you know, you've done your due diligence beforehand. Just like not feeling, which is really hard because life moves really fast, right? And especially as a mom, there's like so much going on. It's hard to like always check all of the boxes before you do stuff. But I think like taking a breath, taking a step back before, especially like a big thing in allergy world, I try to like cut out some of the noise and sit down with myself and just be like, okay, how can I prepare myself for this situation? What are all the things that I need? Who are all the people I need to talk to? And almost like, write it down, like have a checklist. That to me is really helpful. When it comes to just updose days, I mean, the world doesn't stop. Like I think about my day today. I'm like traveling next week for work. I have a million projects. I'm here today doing like podcasting. I've got 14 people to call back or text back.
I genuinely don't know how you juggle everything though. Like I don't.
I mean, I will say like, I mean, I've said it before too. Like I don't like, I do, but I don't like, I feel, I am feeling very like about to break.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy. Like that is not good. And I know I need to cut some things out.
Yeah.
It's a matter of like figuring that piece out. You always talk about therapy and I'm like, I need to find a therapist. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Like,
no, you shouldn't be. Everybody needs a therapist.
I know.
Like if you're a human, you need another human.
Yes. And I feel like I really need somebody to like help point me in the right direction or like help me like not downgrade. What's the word I'm looking for? Like scale down, my like life and like figure out my priorities a little bit and stuff. But like you've said before, like the allergy thing really does help narrow that a little bit. Like at the end of the day, like my focus is my kids' safety and making sure they, are not having reactions and whatnot. And so, and when it comes to treatment, with Graham, like going to 2 peanuts tonight, Mark and I sat down last night and said like, okay, what does tomorrow look like? Like, when are we going to do this? In order to like fit it in with swim lessons later today and like all this other stuff. And then like dinner and then they got to go to bed. And, it's always like a puzzle. So we really think ahead to like, okay, when are we going to do it? He's going to pick up the boys and like give him his antihistamine at pickup so that when we get home, we can do it right away. Because we're supposed to now, because of the like little reactions and stuff, we're taking the antihistamine like before his dose. But anyway, so just, like being prepared, not only with like emergency medicine and stuff, but with an actual plan of like timing. And that just calms me down. Like, okay, we know what we're doing here. Like, we're not just like, I don't know, coming in at it blind, you know, or just like, okay, here we go. Like, I don't know. For me, it helps to feel really organized. And then when I'm like high stress, obviously, again, like being a mom, if I'm with my kids, like I can't really take the time for myself to go do X, Y, or Z. I have to like kind of just hold it together in that moment. But I would say like after getting like sunshine, like for me is everything, I think. And it's so easy to forget for some reason.
And it's also like hard to get in Austin at this time of year because there's literally
hot.
Like a 1 hour window early in the morning.
I know. But even like the other day, I was just like, I think it was a day after Graham had like a little blip of a response or reaction to his dose. And it was like the only time I had was like 2:00 in the afternoon and it was already almost 100 degrees. And I was like, I have to go for a walk. Yeah. Like I just have to, because if not, I'm going to break, and it was hot and it was miserable, but also like it's what I needed in that moment. And then I think that helps for like the next day. So like you said, whether it's like reading or walking, I feel like just finding the reset button that helps kind of calm you down. Yeah. Even before the big moment, if I can like step outside and like look up at the sky and just like be like, okay, I'm a person, I'm breathing. Like, this is the sky and the clouds. Like it just like helps center your brain a little bit. So you're not just spastic.
Walking used to be my button. I used to walk like a psychotic amount. Yeah. I was like a person of the trail. Yeah. Like, oh, there's that girl with like marching along with her dog stroller. Yeah. But like heart rate, getting hot, like now I can't do that until it's like far away from the dose. So like I really relate to what you were saying about even if it's earlier, like the day before. Yeah. Like getting like yesterday, I knew today was going to be hard this morning. So I like had a lot of friend time yesterday. I moved a lot yesterday. I cooked like beautiful veggies and meat and like meal prepped everything in my fridge so that I could come home and just like open a Tupperware and watch Bridgerton.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I have not watched the new second half of the season.
It's steamy.
It's a little spice.
Oh my gosh, don't have the boys in the room for the first episode.
Oh
my
gosh.
It's like full nudity.
Oh, no. I do not watch anything. First of all, the TV belongs to them when they're awake.
Okay.
I don't get to watch anything. I should.
Oh my gosh,
should,
Sarah.
Yeah.
What would it be like if you took the European approach just for a week?
What do you mean?
Whereas like parents in Europe, it's like the kids join our life. Like you're going to stay up till 10 p.m. Like you're going to watch what we watch. You're going to go to the symphony. Like kids join the parents had a life and the kids join it. And then they say in America, it's like kids join the family and like the parents join the kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, who knew that across the pond it was so different? Maybe that's not true. I'm not a parent. So like, I don't know, but
I can just picture bringing Ethan to the symphony.
oh my gosh, that would be, can you imagine in his like Wild Ones costume?
No, I mean, I love that approach. Like on paper, it sounds beautiful and wonderful, but like, I think the culture is just so different here.
Yeah.
I will also say that, I mean, we're getting way off allergies here, but like parents will understand what I'm saying here. Like our culture is so not family friendly.
Right.
Like we are not, I mean, there are some places you go and it's like kid friendly and they might have like a slide at the restaurant or whatever the heck it is. But like as a society, I feel like we are like, you better behave. You better not be loud or yell or run or like those are bad parents and they're not disciplining their child and like the children need to stay in line. Like there's this idea that like kids need to pretend to be adults.
Totally.
And
it's like kid space, adult space.
Right.
Less like
yes.
we're all in our different stages of life, but in the same space.
Whereas I think in some of those more European countries where like the kids are like, yeah, come to the symphony, come to wherever. It's like, well, I mean, again, culturally, maybe they've been raised different. Maybe they are a little more like calmer or chiller, but like, I guarantee many of them are not, but I think that those societies just accept that like, these are kids, you know, like it's fine.
Totally. I was going to say, that's a really nice way to think about it. I was going to say like, maybe they're just really afraid of their parents. Like in France, you can like, bah!
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it could be, I mean, I'm sure it's multifaceted.
I don't know why I said go to the symphony. Who goes to the symphony?
I don't know.
Not me.
But you were thinking of Bridgerton.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, I think we were on that topic. Speaking of Bridgerton, though, they actually do. We're really getting off the rails here, but like, they have a allergy scene in the first
with the
episode. Well, yeah, I think it's the first season.
Yeah, the dad. Okay, so this is based off a book,
a
series that was made in the 90s, and it's pretty true. It's like pretty
staying along with the book.
Yes, they're definitely like adding more modern elements to it.
Yeah.
But I am fascinated by reading books and then watching the movies, especially when that was written almost 2 decades now before it was produced for screen. And the dad dies from a bee sting from anaphylaxis.
Right.
And it's I mean, they're pretty respectful. The way that they like tell the story, they're not making a joke out of it. They're not showing something. I didn't feel triggered, and I'm so easily triggered.
Yeah.
I actually like recently started following, or maybe she just came across my feed, but her husband passed from a bee sting. He had never had like any history.
Who is this?
This like person online.
Oh, random person.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a creator.
Yeah.
But she's like kind of sort of stepping into the advocacy space.
Yeah.
But yeah, her husband like was leaving a CrossFit class and got stung by a bee.
Oh my
and by the
gosh.
time he came home, they didn't have an EpiPen.
Yeah.
Jeez. You know how that goes.
Yes.
How that story ends. We don't need to go into it.
No.
But it like made me think like, oh yeah, he probably like hadn't eaten breakfast yet. His like body was all like ramped up from the CrossFit thing. And histamines and like the immune system is wild. Like it's not just food allergies. Like everybody has their thing. For some people it's the bee,
right? The insects. Yeah, no, I know. And then speaking of shows, and this is giving me an idea that we need to like have an episode about like allergies in the media. But I'm watching Suits. I know it's like I'm
obsessed with Suits. I want to go to law school now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, I mean we're like 14 years late to Suits.
Yep.
But I just started watching it, and in season 2 there is a scene where they make this like young associate watch the partner's cat, and he's allergic, and they do not, I don't think it wasn't like horrible. There's way worse depictions, but he has like, you know, welts on his face and stuff. And I'm like, it didn't even look like hives. It was like
it's
welts.
Giving fairy tale.
Yes.
Like, you've been like struck down with some sort of like bippity boppity boo curse.
But the worst part for me was like the partner who is an asshole, but like, Lewis was like, allergies make you weak, or like mean that you're weak or something. And I was like, oh, the damn stereotype. That's not even true. Like, it's so like false, but it's like this mindset or this idea that people have. And I'm like, F that. They're just like perpetuating it. But anyway, I
remember watching Suits and seeing that scene and being like, I think I may have like fast forwarded it like 15 seconds. Like, I don't need to deal with this.
No, it didn't have anything to do with anything.
I don't have room for this on my plate.
Yeah, no. Okay.
But you know, something that I wanted to add to, like we were talking about routine, managing anxiety, whether it's a big day or a normal day. But when since I started apparently officially having panic attacks in January, I have learned a lot of like coping. And again, we always say like, we are just lay people, we are not MDs, but something that I've really buckled down on through therapy, and also just like going through it every single morning when I was dosing and just like not in a good mental health space, is ignoring anxiety it's like when I read, it's not so much that I'm like trying to pretend that the anxiety doesn't exist. I'm just like throwing myself a lifeline. Like, here, you're having an anxiety, do this while you're also having anxiety. Mm-hmm. Not like, I don't know. The first time it happened, I think it happened so badly is because I was like, oh no, my heart is getting out of control. Like I can feel my whole nervous system just like bottoming out, like on its own circuit board that the reins had been ripped out of my hands, and like trying to make it not happen just made it happen more and more. Yeah. Or like feeling my heart starting a little, and then it was like off to the races, and being like, no, don't go off to the races, made it race harder. And so what I've learned is a lot of the times acknowledging, like, for example, on an updose day, when I moved from solution to Bomba, I cried a lot. Like they gave me like 15 minutes just cry in the room because I just like was not good. And I think my mom was there actually that day. Yeah. But I just needed to cry it out. I told them, and I look back at that now and I'm like, turns out before I even learned how to manage extreme anxiety, I was already managing it pretty well, because I didn't just like buckle down and like try and forge through. Like, I told the nurse, like, I'm actually like I'm not okay. Like, I need to talk to the doctor before I do this again. Like, and then as soon as he walked in, telling him, I'm really scared. I'm really anxious. And if I hadn't spoken up, then that wouldn't have opened the door for him to be like, okay, this is totally normal. Like, it's okay to cry and feel scared out of your mind. Like, you have spent decades avoiding this, and now we're asking you to eat this, and you are not the first, and you certainly will not be the last to have a full come apart in the office. So like, go ahead, have a cry. Like,
allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling and not like feel bad about it.
I don't feel bad about it at all. I did feel a lot of shame when I started having panic attacks, or I felt a lot of shame of like, why can't I get over this? Why is this derailing my treatment? That's when I started letting the like, oh, you are weak, sneak in.
Yeah, I don't know that I've felt shame about being nervous or worried through the allergy thing. I think for me, I've always been worse at the allowing myself to feel the feelings. Like, I think sometimes I'm fine.
Well, you have so much, like, you're juggling so much, you don't have time to stop. Like, if I stop, like, objects in motion stay in motion. Like, I'm staying in motion.
Yeah. I think, thankfully, I have like a really strong partnership and relationship with my husband. And I think I can have my come apart to him, and that like refuels me a little bit. Like, I can let all of that out, or have like a good shower cry. You know what I mean? And that's but then to like the public eye, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but sometimes I feel like if I like say I'm anxious or nervous, that like, not only I'm like worried, am I putting this on somebody else? But then also I feel like they won't get it or understand it. So it'll seem like I'm complaining.
Or they're not going to understand it and they want to. And now the conversation is like
all about that.
Well, it's been an hour and a half and you're trying to explain to them like something super deep rooted and nuanced.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just tricky, but yeah, finding your people. And we've talked about before, like keeping that list small, but like having a few people that I've met online that I just like really connect with, having like a solid open conversation with my husband about allergies and us both confiding in each other when we're feeling like down or scared. Having just like those key people in your life can be really helpful to get through. Yeah. Like the scary, the hard, when you're nervous, that is something that I lean on for sure.
I will also add, like, because this has been so much more concentrated, like my whole life I had anxiety about things I was really allergic to, of course.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't feel shame about that. But it was so like, I always knew in the back of my head, like every 2 to 5 years, something will happen because no matter how hard you try, this stuff is everywhere. Like it's so common. You can't, like, it's not when, it's if. But now it's every single day and it's in my system. So even now, even us sitting here, I am body scanning a few times just to be like, ooh, the air is like really cold in here. Like, is that going to be okay? Like, it's been 4 hours. Okay, I should be okay. Like, I am in that state for 1.5 years. I've been in that state. It's a lot. So I also want to acknowledge, like, with the, like, keeping your shit together, for lack of a better word, like I have noticed a lot more anger. Like I'm pissed off that, whereas before occasionally I would be like, oh, why me? Or like, I wish I was we're all handed a deck of cards and like mine is more invisible than other people's, but like if mine's invisible, theirs is probably invisible too. Like, oh, I couldn't have been handed a different hand. Sometimes I would get in those like little like moments, wham.
Yeah.
But now it's a daily thing where like I think more frequently get pissed off about it. Like leave an event pissed because I'm hungry or because I was worried half the time because they were serving pecan cookies and I just shook hands with a bazillion people with pecans and there was no place to wash my hands. Like I'm pissed now.
Yeah. I think
it wears on you.
It does. And I don't know other than the things you talked about earlier in this episode, other than doing those things, having people, having a therapist, like I'm not sure that there's much else we can do, but I do think, as we've talked about before, like being just like over time becoming desensitized to those feelings, like figuring out not only how to like manage it more, but also just like you're going to be constantly in these situations and dealing with these things. So like, you're just going to get better at it.
Yeah. If anything, that is so true. Like the past 5 months is a Petri dish microcosm version of that. Like you can come back from it being upside down. Like you can desensitize, but also like you can be healthy again. You can be in a better place again. Whether that's like the way that you used to be before kids, you're never going to be the same because you didn't have this, you weren't trying to protect a little life that had this thing that makes them different and endangered in certain scenarios. But like your mental health space, like you can find a way back to that side of the spectrum than being in constant fight or flight. And if you're an adult dealing with this alone, I was just DMing with one of my good friends who she got adult onset anaphylactic allergies. And she was texting me to say like, I just want to let you know, like I've also been upside down since January. And I also am just now starting to see the light. Like we all just need so much more grace for ourselves. And like, I feel alone in it so much, even though I have you, even though I have people. And it's just like one little text like that will remind me, like, you're not alone. Everybody else is fried. Our nerves are fried.
Constantly.
Like everybody else is pissed off that they have to deal with this. Everybody is fearing for their life multiple times a week. Like these are huge tidal wave feelings that you feel like nobody else is having to deal with this. And I don't even know if they're valid. They are valid. And everybody else is also dealing with it in the allergy community. So I don't know. That's also something that I try and remind myself. It doesn't make me feel better, but it makes me feel certainly less othered than I already am.
Yeah. Love it. I think that's a beautiful way to kind of wrap this subject up and then jump into our question and answers.
Let's do it.
And question and answer segment is always brought to us by InchBug.
Yeah.
And they are a waterproof name label company. And they have specific labels that you can customize all for your allergies or your child's allergies. And also the owner is an allergy mom.
I love that. Do you know that like, I'm pretty sure every single one of our sponsors thus far are companies that were started or owned by and like have made a way to serve the allergy community. They're all born from allergy parents.
Yep. And I mean, again, like you said about how you kind of feel like a secret superhero or something. I mean, it's true. Like these are, when you have a child with allergies, you have to like put on your armor and become a superhero and protect like yourself, your family, your kids, and all these different situations that you're running into constantly. And it just, it builds you to a point where you're like, I will do any and everything. Like I am strong, I am ready, I am capable.
Yeah. And I just think it's so cool though, that like, how do you even have any juice left in the tank? And they've now like, okay, I am strong, capable, and ready to do this for my family, but let me figure out how to create a business that's going to be able so that it can be sustainable to help other families who are dealing with the same pain point. I'll just say thanks to InchBug. Yes. It's linked in on our soapbox. It's literally what it is.
Yeah.
It's linked in the show notes, and there is a special code, EpiPod 25, if you want to check them out.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, let's get to the questions.
Let's do it.
Our first question, how do you get people, specifically your close family members, to take your child's anaphylactic food allergy seriously? I feel like we've touched on this a little bit, but are there any from your past experiences that you can share of like somebody who's not taking it seriously, or even you haven't even tried yet and you just want them to take it seriously?
Yeah, I think it's tough because sometimes the older generations, they just didn't grow up with it. So they really have like a true lack of education about allergies. And to them, I think it might seem like, even though if they're not trying to be mean, it might feel like we're just making a bigger deal of something versus like it's an actual new, or not new, but like,
this is something that didn't exist when you were around, when you were in my shoes, but now it does. And I'm not saran wrapping my child or overreacting or putting them in a bubble. Like, this isn't a Lifetime movie. This is real.
Right. Yeah. But they just don't have any experience with it until you. So like they don't understand it at all. And so I think with those people, you have to give them some time. I think you have to do your best to like calmly educate. I think I have shared stories before. That said, I think it's taken certain people like a long time to really understand it. And with those people, if I know that they're like not being malicious or like mean, like any kind of, there's no like negative feeling with them, they just truly don't get it. Like there are some people in our life that like, I mean, it's been years before they could like remember what his allergies are. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, well, you're not being mean, like but like also I'm not going to let you watch my child if you don't even know what he's allergic to. Like I'm going to need you to take enough interest to at least know and understand that. But I did used to like send a few, like at the very beginning, I would like send some links, to websites or whatnot that like were helpful for me, or like little blurbs in an email, like nothing in your face, just kind of like, hey, like, I feel like this would be helpful for you to better understand what we're dealing with Graham or whatever, whatever it might be. I also think it depends on like who the person is. Again, like, are they going to take the time to actually click that link and read that article or not? You know that better than than I would in your situation. I think also explaining any kind of like history of a reaction, like really like sitting them down and saying like, we did this and this is what happened, and like it was really, really scary, so that they understand. Providing a list of like foods that you might not think are the food, like, you know, with dairy, it's like, okay, well, there's butter and, you know, there's all these other things that you might not be thinking are milk. Like just today I talked to somebody who was talking about goldfish, and they were like, they know he's allergic to milk, but they were like, oh, goldfish aren't okay. And I'm like,
the back of the package says dairy.
But also, like, I'm not even talking about the back of the package, bro. Like, I'm talking about they are cheese crackers. How are we not aware that cheese is dairy? Like, and it's so hard for me to understand, like, how you don't understand that. Totally. Like, I'm so confused. How do you not understand? Mm-hmm. But I try to like take a breath and remind myself, like, these people do not live this life. Mm-hmm. And so like sitting down with somebody and explaining those little things, and you can do it in a light way. Like it doesn't always have to be like this big, deep, scary conversation. Like it could be like, you know, like even those little goldfish crackers, you know, like I know it's not something everybody would think of, but like, you know, they're cheese crackers. So, and like cheese is milk, or like, oh, you could tell a story. Like I went to this restaurant. Sometimes they like to do that, like things that people might not, like you're trying to get somebody to understand something or something you think that they would probably do or say. And you like kind of tell a funny, in quotation marks, story about how somebody else did that. And so like, you're like teaching them by showing them like, you know, oh yeah, at the store or at the restaurant we went to, I had to like remind them 3 times butter was dairy. You know, like they really didn't know that butter wasn't dairy. And like in my head, I'm like, I know they also don't know that butter is dairy or like truly understand that. But like the way I'm telling this, I can tell it in a story versus a like, hey grandma, you better know that butter is dairy. You know what I mean? Like you can do it in a different way. And I think sometimes you have to, as much as it's not fair to like handle the older generation with kid gloves, because you're like, but you're the older generation, you're not the child. The kid. Right. But sometimes you do have to like do that, because again, it's oftentimes not coming out of a place of like trying to be any certain way. It's just truly they don't know.
Yeah.
So I mean that's some of what I've done. And then otherwise, like if people really don't want to get it, like if you've tried and they're not budging on understanding or caring, then I mean, as hard as it is, I'd be like, say lovey, like bye-bye.
Au revoir. You know? You are so kind. I think I'm just like in a place where I am too tired to deal with people.
Yeah.
And it is too much to explain, and I don't want to be questioned. Really? Even if it was on the same grill, you wouldn't eat something on the same grill? I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, has this been your experience where it's easier for people who are not your close family to take what you say? If you say, I have a life-threatening allergy to insert, for me, all nuts, except for almond. Yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you for telling me that. Is it okay if I ate a granola bar earlier today with peanuts? Is that okay? I'm going to go wash my hands. You don't need to. It's okay. I'm going to go wash my hands. And I'm like, thank you. I don't even know you. Like, I literally met you today for pottery class. Like, okay. Same age as somebody who may be super close to me who's like, why are you reading that label again? Mm-hmm. We've bought that brand for years. And I'm just like, I am too tired to explain every label every time. The labeling industry is not on our side from a government and law perspective. Like I'm choking on it even now. Yeah. Just like it's too much.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I agree. I think that is the case in some ways. I do have, like, my mom is very, very understanding and like supportive.
Your mom sounds epic.
Yeah.
Like taking other people's family members and not taking it seriously and just being like, mine.
Yeah. No,
Put it away.
She's been so great with it. So is my sister. You know, like we have people that are close to us that are really great. And then, I feel like there are some people who just, it's like they don't, I don't know. It's like they don't want to believe it. So then they like try to make you feel bad for like making it a big deal when it actually is a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
don't make me feel bad for making something that's a big deal.
Right.
Are you saying that I'm not insane? Like, I mean, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also have like, in terms of like on my spectrum of the brevity, like I'm too tired to deal with this. When people are like giving me the like, really? Like, oh, that just seems overboard, or, oh, that just seems like a lot. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is a lot. It is a lot to not be able to eat at this brunch. I am hungry right now. But you know what would be more of a lot? Having an ambulance show up right now and really wrecking the party. I'm going to go get another mimosa. Would you like one?
Yeah.
And getting up before they can even answer. Like, I'm not coming back here.
Yeah. I love that. I think I probably need to do more of that. But sometimes I'm like, I just want to keep the peace and move on, you know? And I'm okay with just like keeping my family away if needed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
But I do really feel bad whenever people have these family members who just do not. I am thankful that there's no one we're around frequently who treats it like it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
But I do feel for the people who have those people in their lives, because it's a lot easier said than done to just be like, okay, bye, we're not coming over anymore, Grandma. It's like, well, I mean, you don't want to keep your kids' grandparents from them, you know? So like, it's a really sticky situation. I think my biggest thing would be just chip away like one little bit at a time, like figure out what way of like presenting information is going to work best for them, like to where they're actually going to absorb it and not feel like their opinions are threatened. It's almost like with political stuff.
Totally.
Sometimes it's like, if you come at people like, well, I think this, well, I think this, well, I think that, it's like, you're only ever going to butt heads. Nobody's going to ever see eye to eye. They're just going to actually cling harder to like their own beliefs. Whereas if you are more like gentle in your approach and really like kind of slowly but surely try to understand them and almost like repeat back like, okay, so it seems like you're not really understanding why we do this. Can you tell me why you think we shouldn't? And then like try to understand their perspective a little bit. And then you could say, okay, I hear you. This is where I'm coming from. You know, like you could have some of those types of conversations too and see if it helps.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
That's helpful.
Hopefully so.
Okay.
Question 2.
Second question. This is tip and OIT related.
Okay.
Hi. In the podcast, age ranges or age cutoffs are mentioned for OIT and tip. Can you elaborate a little bit more on this? What are the age ranges for OIT and tip? Who determines that cutoff? The physician? And what is the reasoning or research for having said age ranges or cutoffs in place?
So for tip, I think the youngest I could be off a little bit, is 18 months. And the oldest is, I think it's 21 or 22, like, so young adult. And I think they've risen. I think it maybe used to be 18. And then now it's kind of in the low 20s, I believe. I should probably check myself on that. I mean, you could probably Google it.
Yeah.
But I think that at least TIP does that because their research and like the data points that they've collected to come up with their methods and plans have been based on people in those age ranges. So the immune system obviously changes as you get older and through different like parts of your life. And so they don't want to provide treatment, for somebody who they've not studied. So I think that is generally, at least from what I've heard, why there are kind of age ranges for TIP.
Yeah. For OIT, the wild, wild west, truly. It is more, OIT is across the nation and it's with all different kinds of practices. So it really is, it seems to be related to like what the doctor is comfortable with. And I have people in my comments every day being like, oh, you must not be that allergic. Like my numbers are too high. And I'm like, maybe your allergist only is willing to treat people with these numbers. Mine, I had off the charts peanut numbers and I'm obviously doing IIT. Other people will be like, oh, I was too old. How are you doing this at 30? Whatever. Now it's 2. Your allergist may only treat people who are 18 and under or whatever their cutoff is. mine is willing to treat adults. They have a lot less of success rates because of a lot of reasons. But yeah, a lot of it is just like, this is too much. Like I miss my old life, and I will be one to say that too. Like I miss my old life. I miss waking up and taking a 6 a.m. yoga class. I can't do that anymore. I wake up and dose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just truly related to each MD. And I will say, like, a lot of the research, I was very curious about the new injection that was recently FDA approved, Xolair. And I was having conversations about that and Googling about that. And of course, all of the studies and all of the research are with kids. Like there's only a few adults that were a part of the studies. So then you kind of become the gerbil. So yeah, that's a very layman way of answering it, but it's all according to which doctor. I think of them as North Stars, like I was saying earlier. Like you board their spaceship, and like that's the spaceship you're on.
Yep.
And the rules are all so different. Like your spaceship rules are going to be possibly the exact opposite as somebody else's OIT spaceship rules.
Yep. So if you don't like what they have to say, I mean, obviously always go to someone reputable, but like you're very welcome to a second opinion. And I think people should definitely get those. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much for being here today.
Yes. And thank you so much to our sponsor, Lorissa's Kitchen, being our presenting sponsor.
Full body chills every time.
Yes. We're so happy to have them on board. And I mean, not only are they like a great company doing wonderful things for the allergy community, but like they're actually really good.
They're your favorite.
I mean, yes. Yeah. I am, as we have coined on the show, the meat stick queen.
Put it on your tombstone.
I need like I don't know, we need to like I need like a badge or like a medal or like an actual crown.
You know how on Southwest Airlines they like make crowns out of the like sticks and the pretzel bags?
Yes.
Thankfully, no longer the peanut bags. We should make you a crown of meat sticks.
I'd wear it proudly. Larissa's Kitchen meat stick crown. Bring it on.
We are so different.
That's okay.
I love it.
But you like them too. You're just not obsessed with meat sticks in general.
I like the meat sticks. I just don't want to wear them on my head.
Oh, sure. Okay. I have no shame anymore. I'm a mom.
I love it.
No modesty, no shame.
Gosh. Also, today, Sarah sent me one of y'all's reviews. Should we just read it?
Yes.
Let's read it real quick.
But thank you. And please, while she's looking at it, please leave us reviews. Definitely for the algorithm, because it helps other allergy parents see this podcast and other people with allergies like Danielle. But also like it truly makes all of this time spent so worth it.
Yeah. This is a labor of love, and this really made us feel the love. Okay. 5 stars. Oh. Okay. Tell everyone about this podcast. Allergy content makes me anxious. Same, but not Sarah and Danielle's. It makes me feel seen and heard and loved from people I don't even know. They have both answered my questions, and one of my questions even got answered on the podcast.
Yay!
I sobbed, obviously. That's sweet. My husband listens, my mom listens, my sister listens, so they know how to take care of my son with severe food allergies. Sarah and Danielle are the best of the best humans, and the world should know about it. Pass it on.
Oh, so great. And also like shout out and clap to that like sister and mom and the family members who are also listening. Like those are your people. Like that is so wonderful that they're taking the time to like want to know what this life is like, because then they're going to be the people who care for you the best. Yeah. So anyway.
I'm going to be smiling for the next 20 minutes, and I've read it like 5 times already today.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a good day, and
see you next
week.